I'm Betsy. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today what we're going to make is something that I don't know why I always think of my mom or my grandma with this one. I guess because, I'm sure one of them made them because that's where I would have learned it. But when we got these when we were growing up, I always felt so grown up eating them. I don't know why. We're making cream puffs. But the beauty of the cream puff is I have learned over the years how to make it into like 6 different things. So I find this to be incredibly versatile. So to make a cream puff, we're going to start with the shells. The first thing you do is take half a cup of butter, and we're going to mix that with a cup of water, and we're going to put that on the stove and bring it to a boil. Now I'm going to tell you, seems like that should be so simple. For whatever reason, the combination of butter and water when you're bringing it to a boil wants to go really fast all of a sudden and boil over. So you kind of got to stand and watch this. So we're just going to get this on the stove and bring it to a boil. While we're getting that boiling, I'm going to go ahead and get a couple other things ready to go that we're going to need. We're going to need 4 eggs. So I'm going to get those cracked and into a bowl. And I'm kind of get those just roughly scrambled so that it's a lot easier once I put them into the mixer. So I will get those roughly scrambled just with a fork. I'm also going to get the inside of the cream puff started. The beauty of the cream puff that I grew up with was that it's filled with custard. I've talked to so many people and I've actually had debates with people about what goes in a cream puff, which you can discuss amongst yourself the issues I have that I'm having debates with people about cream puffs. But some people like whipped cream, I like custard. So that's the way we're going to go today. So to make the custard for the inside of a cream puff, we need a double boiler. I just use a pot and a glass bowl, and I'm going to get about 1 inch of water in the bottom. I'm going to start with the filling. Now the filling for my custard is starts with sugar and cornstarch. Now when you try to mix cornstarch with liquids, you tend to get lumps. So I found a trick for this. We start with a half a cup of sugar. We'll put that in the bowl first, and then we're going to get 5 tablespoons of cornstarch. Cornstarch is a great thickening agent, but if you don't get to it fast, it does make lumps. So the key here is to whisk these two together to already get any lumps you've got in the cornstarch out of the way. Okay, once I've got sugar and the cornstarch mixed, I'm going to add 2 cups of milk to this. Now I'll tell you that I use skim milk. I think you could probably use any milk. I just grew up with skim milk, so that's what I use. Now the key to this is I'm going to get 2 cups in there, and then I got to whisk it really fast so that no lumps form. If I can get this done quickly, which I just did here, I've got no lumps from the cornstarch and we're in great shape. Okay, next we're going to add some eggs to our filling. So I need another bowl for that. And I need to get 3 eggs scrambled up in this separate bowl. Okay, I want to get these mixed pretty well because I'm going to add them into this custard mixture, and I don't want any chunks of egg. I want all consistency once I mix them in. So these are getting mixed pretty well. Once I feel like they're pretty well mixed, I'm going to add them into my custard and keep whisking. Okay. All I have left to add to this is a pinch of salt and a teaspoon of vanilla. Now this is good to go. This is going to go on our pot that I made into a double boiler, so I've got 1 inch of water in there. I'm going to put this on top, and I'm going to get this on the stove. Custard can be tricky. I'll show you later a trick I've got, because I don't have a lot of patience. I'm going to put this on the stove on medium heat, and you just got to keep an eye on it. Every few minutes you got to go back and stir it to make sure you're not getting huge lumps. In the meantime, for my shells, my butter and my water has boiled. So now I'm going to add a cup of flour to that. I need to whisk that pretty fast. It's going to get really thick really fast, and that's what we want. It almost gets to the point where it's too hard to stir. It's just a big wad of dough right now. Once I get that, I'm just plopping that in the mixer. get all of that. And I'm getting this on the mixer. Now this time I'm using a wire whisk. I'm getting that on there and I'm starting to mix. Now I had the 4 eggs from before that I had roughly scrambled. I'm gonna start to add those. Now this is really warm, so you're gonna wanna do it somewhat slowly. So we get it all nice and mixed, and it's going to be nice and thick. So to bake these off, we need a baking sheet, and I always put parchment down. Now these are going to get a lot bigger than the amount of dough I put down, so I use this tiny little scoop. This is probably 1 to 2 tablespoons, and I'm just going to make little circles of dough. And you're going to leave at least 2 inches between them because they are going to get really big. So you just fill your pan up with little balls of dough. I'll probably get maybe 12 on a sheet. And then you're going to pop this in the oven. Now this one bakes different than a lot of baked goods. You're going to turn your oven to 400 degrees. You're going to put this in for 15 minutes, and then at 15 minutes you're not taking it out of the oven, you're just going to turn the oven down to 300. You're going to bake it for another 25 minutes, and then they are going to come out golden and beautiful. So while those are baking off, our filling is going to be doing its thing and getting much thicker. So, like I said, I don't have a lot of patience. So if I was the perfect cook, I would have stood there and stirred this the entire time so that no lumps formed. I just don't have time for that. So here's the trick I've come up with. Once I get it to where it's completely cooked, and I know it's cooked, but it's really lumpy, I get my food processor out. While it's still piping hot, I'm going to run it through the food processor, get all the lumps out, and then I'm going to refrigerate it, and it will harden up beautifully. So be careful the pan is hot, because remember we're still over scalding water. I'm just going to pour this in the food processor, and you can see how lumpy mine is. Give it about 10 seconds, it's not going to be lumpy anymore. And I'm going to turn this on high. Maybe I did that for 15-20 seconds. But now it comes out perfect without a lump. Now you're going to take it and put it in another dish to cool it off. Now I've got perfect custard, no lumps, ready to go into the refrigerator. Now the trick with custard, you can't just put it in the refrigerator like this because it'll get a film on it. So you've got to cover it with saran wrap and make a skin out of it. So take some saran wrap, and then you got to put it right on top. You got to get it down right onto the custard so that every surface of the custard has saran wrap touching it. Now you put this in the refrigerator, and when you pull that saran wrap off, you will have no skin on your custard. Okay, so this is how they come out of the oven. See how they're so much bigger than they were before? These are my beautiful cream puff shells. Here's the custard I made, and I just pull the saran wrap off, and it's beautiful. Okay, so here, if I was just going to show you cream puffs, I would stop right now and I would make them. The beauty of cream puffs is when I met my husband, his favorite dessert was Profiteroles. I had no idea what that was. It is literally a cream puff shell with ice cream. So I have so many uses for these amazing shells. So for starters, I'll do what I want to do with them, which is cut it in half, maybe 2. I might need 2 to make sure they're really good. They're kind of small. Some custard, and put the lid on. Now, growing up, my mom, I believe, or my grandma, I forget, always put a little chocolate on them, and a little powdered sugar. Maybe that's why I felt like I was so grown up, because it was a fancy dessert for what we did. But then I meet my husband, and he loves Profiteroles, and I didn't even know what they were. Turns out it's another amazing use for these shells. And I make these shells and keep them in my freezer. So I have them at all times, and they last at least 6 months. So the beauty of these is I can also serve a fancy dessert by adding ice cream. I will do 2 vanilla. You can put any flavor of ice cream you want in them. I'm going to do 2 vanilla and 1 chocolate. A little bit of chocolate sauce on the top. So here we have them. I have my favorite cream puff filled with my homemade custard, and I have my husband's favorite, Profiteroles, 2 vanilla and 1 chocolate, all with the same cream puff shells. Now, I'm gonna go make my husband very happy and walk into the other room and hand him these and tell him he has to eat these. It's not a bad gig here in my house. I hope you enjoy these as much as we do.